How's it going? Nice to be on here live. This is only our third live video on rock history book. We've made, I think, hundreds on rock history music, which is our big channel. Rock history music is approaching 100,000 subscribers. Rock history book, we've not done as much with it, but as I mentioned the last two nights, it always was meant to be a today in history thing. That's what was meant to be from the very beginning. And we never got around to doing that because we were so busy with all our interviews. But that's kind of where we are at. I forgot my iPad. I got to come back and get it. Someone's going to log on. There's going to be no one here. Which is scary, but unfortunately I have to do that. I needed to talk to you guys. Forgot my I'm back. Sorry, guys. This is like I've come on here before. There's 4 people here. Hi, sorry I haven't been here. I forgot my iPad. Yeah, that's professionalism at its best. There you go. That's the kind of product you get on Rock History Book. Oh, it's hilarious. But anyway, thanks for being patient with me. We're going to talk about today in history. A big day, because this is the day that Paul McCartney met John Lennon. Really. One guy was 15, the other guy was 16, but we'll get into that in a second. It's kind of I like Today in History because I used to host a Today in History show on the radio station. I'm a 40-year broadcaster. I'm going on my 40th year now. And Today in History has always been like what happened, especially if it's your birthday. And if it is, by any chance, if someone's coming on here, it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. And don't you check when it's your birthday to see what celebrities or what other famous person has had the same birthday as you? I'm always kind of curious. So we don't have a lot of people on tonight. I'm always trying to find, before we start, the time, and it's usually at night, that this live feed for our channels work really well. The problem with that with Today in History is we're starting to wind down the day already. When I did one in the morning the other day, it didn't really do that well. I'm going, I have to do it in the morning. That's when you do Today in History. Anyway, Today in History, July 6th. And again, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. In 1925, the father of rock and roll was born. Bill Haley of Bill Haley and the Comets, of course, Rock Around the Clock. He was born in Highland Park, Michigan, and he died in 1981. Bill Haley had he looked like the last rocker you'd ever, he just had a peculiar look. He just had a very unique way that he looked. And in the next few days, we're going to have our teleprompter thing, and you'll see the people we're talking about. In 1945, Rick Ellsworth, guitarist with Dr. Hook, If You're in Love with a Beautiful Woman, cover of the Rolling Stone, Sylvia's Mother. He was born in 1945. In 49, American drummer Michael Shreve was born. That cat can play. He was with Santana, played with them from 69 to 74 and did some more things on reunions later on. But he was with them at Woodstock, and he was one of the youngest performers to perform there, as well as Henry Gross, the guy who sang Shannon and Springtime Mama. He was there with, I do believe Henry might have been the youngest. He was there with Sha Na Na. Other news, 71. We lost Louis Armstrong in 1971. You know what? He's known by the Ken Burns special as the godfather, the father of jazz. In that special, they kind of proclaimed him that, and it's been said before. But it's weird when you think about it. He's been gone since 1971. Hello, Dolly, What a Wonderful World. I used to end my show in Vancouver and in Edmonton with It's a Wonderful World. And Hello, Dolly, everyone knows that. And everyone makes it. He sang like that. Dies of a heart attack at 69. In 2003, Skip Batton, American singer-songwriter for the Byrds, he died. He was 69 years old. How's it going? I'll get your comments in a second. In 2020, Joel Porcaro. Now, the Porcaro brothers, everyone knows about them because, of course, they're famous of being all in Toto. And Jeff, who we lost in 1992, I was in LA when he passed away. It was like a shock. And Mike we lost as well. Steve's still around, and Steve's not in Toto anymore. Steve's the keyboardist with the big glasses, remember, from the 80s. But their father, the patriarch of the family, Joe Porcaro, American jazz session drummer, percussionist, who played with Rosemary Clooney and a whole bunch of other folks. Educator as well, the Los Angeles College of Music. He died at the age of 90. I remember that was a shock to a lot of people, but we had started hearing that he wasn't doing that well before, and that happens right when you're 90 years old. Songs and albums from the history of rock and roll. 1963, James Brown went to number 2 on the U.S. charts with a great live album, Live at the Apollo. In 67, Pink Floyd made their very first TV appearance on the Top of the Pops on BBC, and they promoted their single, See Emily Play. Yes, it was a Syd Barrett stage. In 1968, the Rolling Stones released a song that had stood the test of time, their 5th number 1 single, Jumpin' Jack Flash. In 73, Queen released their very first single, Keep Yourself Alive. Now remember, the first Queen album was not at all like the other Queen albums, even though every other Queen album had remnants of that rock sound that was on the debut, because the self-titled Queen album was really heavy. It was quite heavy. And I like that sound, but they kind of branched out in some. By the time Night of the Opera came out, you heard, how many styles did you hear on Night of the Opera, right? Which had Bohemian Rhapsody and You're My Best Friend. In 1985, Phil Collins went to number 1 on the U.S. singles chart with Sussudio, his 3rd number 1. The song reached number 12 in the UK. No Jacket Required, of course, was the name of the album. He was in a restaurant with Robert Plant, and they said you have to have a jacket, and they told that to Robert Plant and Phil Collins, and Robert Plant said, yeah, right, went right by, and Phil Collins was like, what do I do? Big events, one of the biggest events, when stars collide. 1957, John Lennon was 16 years old. Paul McCartney was 15. They met when Lennon's group, the Quarrymen, were performing at St. Peter's Parish Church. Like you could have every day today in history has something about the Beatles. We will not go in that deep with the Beatles because there are other channels who do that. In 64, the Beatles' film Hard Day's Night premiered in London. In 65, rock group Jefferson Airplane was formed. Talk about the tentacles of that group, right? Jefferson Airplane, Starship, they're still going on today in many different forms. Mickey Thomas is doing his own version. Like Grace Slick is all but retired. We lost a few. Marty Ballin, long dead. So, 2005 Live 8 concert was winding down with so many. I mean, there was like so many concerts all over the world. It was a phenomenon. It was a big thing. It wasn't Woodstock, but it was kind of a cool thing. Obviously, I'm on a little late tonight because we don't have a lot of people on here. Mark Burchett, hey, Mark, I appreciate you being on. I think if we're going to be aiming for maybe 2 hours before to go on here and to do it. But we're playing with times every day. We've only done this is a 3rd day. Every day we're coming on a different time to see what sticks. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, go on analytics and find out where your audience is. We don't have enough videos on this channel. Remember, our big channel is the other channel, Rock History Music. This is Rock History Books. So we're playing around. Rest in peace, Satchmo. Yeah, the late, great Satchmo, we used to call him. Yeah, Louis Armstrong. Mark Burchett. Richard and Paul are the last. Richard Starkey. That's right. But George was my favorite. I don't hear that a lot, and of course you don't hear that a lot, but George deserves his due. In the mid-'70s, George released some albums. I remember they were a little sweet for me and not as complicated, but it was George Harrison and my friends. Like, remember 33 and a Third? I was always curious about George, whatever he was doing. It was just a thing. So thank you for joining me tonight. We're going to come on the other channel in just a second because at 10 o'clock Pacific time, we usually come on with a certain subject. And I've got about 4 to choose from right now. I'm not sure which one I'm going to be doing. Love your shows. My new favorite channel, Outstanding. Thanks, Tony. I hope you checked out our other channel, Rock History Music, because that's the big channel. Not that we want to send you away from this channel, of course. We appreciate it. Before I get off the air, I'd be remiss if I didn't reiterate the fact that this channel was meant to be a Today in History. From the start, it was always supposed to do that, and we're just getting around to doing it now because of my new discovery of loving to be on live. Because as a radio announcer, I've been trained to do that. I like being on live, and news on the Patreon accounts, which will affect this channel and all our channels. The Patreon account will be for all 4 of our channels, so that you'll have access to stuff on all the channels. So thank you for joining me tonight. Today in History will be back. I think tomorrow will probably come on, and we're just testing the waters, remember, at 7 p.m. Atlantic, 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to give that a shot and see. We're just playing around with the time, right, and seeing how this feature does, because I really enjoy doing it. So thanks a lot. If you ever want to support the channel, you can donate. There's a button. There's a link at the very top of the description of this video. Take care. I'll be back with rock history music in about 45 minutes.